Welcome to Threads of Truth, the podcast where real-life mysteries meet internet speculation. Today, we are walking the rain-slicked streets of Dublin to examine a case that has haunted Ireland for over 2 decades.
It's a case that really is the definition of baffling. I mean, we're talking about a disappearance in a major European city on a night with a lot going on.
So many people were out.
Exactly. And yet, somehow, the person at the center of it all just seems to have evaporated.
We're talking about the disappearance of Trevor Deely. And to really get into this story, you have to picture the scene. You almost have to feel the weather.
Oh, absolutely. The environment is.
Yeah.
It's practically a character in this story.
So let's set the scene. It's the early hours of Friday, December 8th, 2000.
And when we say bad weather, we're not just talking about a bit of drizzle. You have to imagine a full-on torrential Atlantic storm battering Dublin.
The meteorological reports from that night are pretty intense. We're talking wind gusts hitting 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour.
That's the kind of wind that literally pushes you sideways. It's not just an inconvenience. No, it's dangerous. It turns umbrellas inside out. It makes it hard to even walk straight. And the rain was just relentless, lashing down.
And right in the middle of all this, the city's transport system was completely paralyzed.
Yes, and this is the crucial point. There was a massive citywide taxi strike. And you have to remember, this is the year 2000.
No Uber, no apps on your phone.
And none of that. If you were out late in Dublin, a taxi was your lifeline. You either hailed a black cab or you walked. There were no other options.
And on this particular night, you have thousands of people pouring out of their office Christmas parties.
So the city is full of people, a bit drunk, tired, dressed for a party, not for a cross-country hike in a storm. And they're all forced to walk home. It was chaos.
And moving through this chaos is our subject, Trevor Deely. He's a 22-year-old man, is tall, very distinct looking. And the part of this case that I think keeps people up at night is that we have a visual record of him.
It's the great paradox of the early CCTV era, isn't it? We see him, the cameras capture him alive, walking with purpose. He looks completely fine.
We even see him speak to a mysterious figure, a man dressed all in black.
And when you watch that footage, the tension is it's almost unbearable. He walks past a bank on Haddington Road, and then he just, quite literally, walks off the face of the earth.
There's no struggle caught on tape, no car screeches to a halt, nothing. Just a man walking home and then a void.
An information black hole.
So today, we're going to explore how a young man can just vanish in a city that's covered in cameras. We're going to look at the lost weekend that so tragically delayed the investigation, the false leads that sent police down the wrong path for years, and crucially, how some recent tech breakthroughs have completely rewritten the entire story of his final moments.
We really are stripping back the layers of rumor here. For a very long time, we all thought we knew what happened. We thought we were watching the crime unfold on video, but as it turns out, our eyes might have been deceiving us all along.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Who was Trevor Deely?
Trevor was a young man who was really just starting to find his way in the world. 22 years old, originally from Naas in County Kildare, which is a busy town just a bit southwest of Dublin.
He came from a very close family, right?
Very close.
Mm-hmm.
Parents Michael and Anne, and 3 siblings, Mark, Michelle, and Pamela. He was the youngest.
The baby of the family.
He was, yeah. And by all accounts, he was just a great guy. His friends called him jovial. His boss at the bank described him as a gentleman. He was also very tall, 6'3", with reddish hair, very recognizable.
And he had a very specific walk, I've read.
He did, a kind of long, loping stride that made him easy to spot even from a distance. A key detail, as it turns out.
And career-wise, he was in a good place.
He was. He'd had a bit of a false start. He dropped out of a business course in his second year. But that's not uncommon for someone that age.
Totally normal. Finding your feet.
Exactly. He didn't just drift, though. He pivoted. He did a computer course in Dublin, and his sister said it was like a switch flipped. He just loved it.
And this was the late 90s, the perfect time for that.
The height of the IT boom. So by May of 1999, he landed a great job in the IT department of Bank of Ireland Asset Management, BM for short.
That's a pretty prestigious place for a guy in his early 20s.
It was, yeah. He worked hard. His colleagues respected him. He was the kind of guy who showed up. He wasn't known for, just not coming into work without a call.
And just before he vanished, he'd been on a pretty big trip.
Yes, and this is a detail that adds so much color to who he was. In late November 2000, just a couple of weeks before this party, Trevor flew to Alaska.
Alaska. That is not your typical holiday destination for a young Irish guy.
No, it's not. But there was a reason. He'd met a girl from Anchorage when she was in Dublin the summer before. They really hit it off. And his best friend, Glenn Cullen, was a long-haul flight attendant.
Ah, the buddy pass.
The buddy pass hookup, exactly. Glenn got him a free flight. So Trevor just goes for it, this solo adventure to Alaska to see this girl. He flies back into Dublin on Tuesday, December 5th.
So on the night of the party, Thursday the 7th, he would have still been seriously jet lagged.
Oh, almost certainly. That's a huge time difference. He went to see his parents in Nas that Tuesday when he got back, had dinner, told them all about the trip, but he was yawning the whole time.
Okay, so that brings us to the night itself, December 7th, going into the 8th, the Bank of Ireland Christmas party.
A pretty standard corporate night out. They started a very famous, or maybe infamous, Dublin nightclub called Copper Face Jack's.
A rite of passage.
It is. Then they move on to the Hilton Hotel for some food and drinks. And finally, the last group standing, which included Trevor, they ended up at another place, Buck Whaley's nightclub on Leeson Street.
And everyone's in good spirits. The vibe is good.
From all accounts, yes. Trevor's having a great time with his work friends. But eventually, the night winds down. Trevor leaves Buck Whaley's at about 3:25 a.m.
And this is where that taxi strike really hits home.
He steps out of the warmth of the club into that storm. It's 3:25 in the morning. The wind is howling, the rain is coming down sideways, and there are just no taxis anywhere.
Now, his apartment was in a complex called the Renoir in an area called Ballsbridge. From Leeson Street, that's a bit of a walk, but it's not like a marathon.
It's doable, sure, maybe 20, 25 minutes on a normal night. But in that weather, with no coat, no umbrella, it would have been absolutely miserable.
So he makes a practical decision, a detour.
He does. He decides to walk to his office, which is very nearby on Wilton Terrace, because he knows he left a big umbrella at his desk.
And it's this detour that puts him directly in the path of this whole mystery.
It is. He walks over to Wilton Terrace. He gets to the back gates of the BM building at 3:35 a.m.
And this is where we have to talk about the men in black.
We do. This is the first major anomaly on the CCTV tapes. The camera at the rear entrance is pointed at the gate. And at around 3:30 a.m., a full 35 minutes before Trevor even gets there, a man appears on the footage.
Describe him for us.
It's tough. The quality of 2000-era CCTV, plus the rain, it's grainy. But he's dressed in dark clothing, a dark jacket, maybe a hoodie. But it's his behavior that's so strange. He doesn't just walk past. He waits.
He stands there.
He stands there in a storm for over half an hour. He's not really trying to get out of the rain. He's just waiting right by the gate.
That is just incredibly strange. Ominous.
It is. So when Trevor finally arrives at 3:35, he has to basically walk right past this guy to get to the intercom to buzz himself in.
Yeah.
And the footage shows a brief exchange. They talk.
Do we have any idea what they said?
No. And that's the deafening silence at the heart of this. But you can look at the body language. Trevor doesn't flinch. He doesn't recoil. It doesn't look aggressive or scary. It looks normal.
Like a casual exchange.
Right. Maybe the guy asked for a cigarette or the time, or if the building was open, we just don't know.
And then Trevor goes inside.
Trevor buzzes. The gate opens. He goes in. The man stays outside.
And once he's inside, the atmosphere is completely different. It's warm. It's safe.
It's totally normal. He runs into a colleague, Carl Pender, who's working the night shift. They make some tea. They have a quick chat. Carl said Trevor was in great form, totally fine.
He even does a bit of work, doesn't he?
He does. And this is so important for understanding his mindset. He logs onto his computer. He checks a few emails. He organizes his to-do list for the next morning.
He's planning for Friday?
Exactly. He's not running away. He's not in distress. He's thinking about his workday. He is fully intending to be at that desk in a few hours.
Then he grabs the umbrella.
The now famous ACC Bank umbrella. It's large blue with big yellow lettering, a very conspicuous object.
And at 4:23 a.m., he heads out.
He walks back out to the same gate. He looks around. The man in black is gone.
The coast seems clear.
It seems clear. He starts his walk home towards Ballsbridge. And just a few minutes later, at 4:06 a.m., he pulls out his phone.
A Nokia 1610.
A literal brick. And he calls his best friend, Glenn Cullen.
This is one of those heartbreaking what-if moments.
It really is. Glenn's asleep. He misses the call. So Trevor leaves a voicemail. The message is, "Hi, Glenn. I've missed you there. Just on my way home, all going good. I'll talk to you tomorrow."
All going good.
Those 3 words, they just haunt this entire case. There is zero fear in his voice, no stress, no urgency. It's just a guy walking home, checking in with his mate.
And then 8 minutes later, we get the final sighting.
4:01 a.m. CCTV from an AIB bank on Haddington Road, which is right near Baggot Street Bridge. It captures Trevor walking past.
Heading in the right direction for his apartment.
Exactly. He's got the big blue umbrella up, fighting against the wind. And his friends, when they saw this footage, they immediately recognized his walk, that long, loping stride. It's definitely him.
And then he walks out of the camera's frame.
And that's it. That's the last time Trevor Deely was ever verifiably seen alive.
Now, today, if someone didn't come home from a work party, the alarm bells would ring pretty quickly. But here, there's this awful, tragic delay.
They call it the lost weekend. And it's just this perfect storm of unfortunate circumstances. On Friday morning, Trevor doesn't show up for work.
But it was the Christmas party the night before.
Right. So his boss, his colleagues, they just assume, and you can't blame them, that he's at home nursing a massive hangover.
It's a totally fair assumption to make.
It is. And at the same time, his flatmates happen to be away for that weekend. So Friday passes, Saturday passes, Sunday. Nobody has any idea that he never made it back to his apartment.
It's not until Monday morning, December 11th, when he's a no-show for work again, that the panic really sets in.
And that's a huge amount of lost time. Nearly 3 full days. The trail is ice cold before anyone even realizes there's a trail to follow.
That's just devastating from an investigative standpoint.
It is. It severely hampered the initial search. But once the alarm was raised, the response from the Deely family was just, it was incredible.
They essentially wrote the book on how families should conduct a missing persons search in Ireland.
They really did. His parents, Michael and Anne, his siblings, they didn't just sit back and wait for the Gardaí, the Irish police, to do everything. They mobilized. They printed thousands of posters, handed out leaflets. They went door to door to every shop in business asking for CCTV.
In fact, it was the family and friends who secured some of that vital footage, wasn't it? Not the police, initially.
That's right. One of the lead detectives later said he'd never seen a family be so proactive. They got their hands on footage that probably would have been taped over by the time the official request came through.
So the search begins, and of course, in a city like Dublin, when someone vanishes near the water, the first thought is always the canal.
Absolutely. The Grand Canal runs right through that area, as does the River Dodder. The Garda Subaqua unit was brought in straight away. They did extensive searches of all the waterways.
And they found
nothing. Not a single thing. No body, no wallet, no keys, and importantly, no big blue umbrella.
And there's a piece of tech evidence from the time that strongly suggests he didn't end up in the water, right? The phone.
This is a really fascinating detail. That Nokia 1610. Those old phones were tough, but they were not waterproof.
Not at all.
Trevor's sister, Michelle, was calling his phone over and over again during that lost weekend. And she is certain that it rang out. It didn't go straight to voicemail. It connected and rang.
And if it had fallen into the canal?
It would have died instantly. A tech expert, a Dr. Philip Perry from DCU, confirmed this for the investigation. Radio signals from that era could not penetrate water. So for the phone to ring, it had to be on dry land.
Which means Trevor, or at least his phone, was also on dry land for days after he vanished.
It makes the idea of him just accidentally slipping and falling into the water highly, highly unlikely. If he'd fallen in at 4:15 a.m. on Friday, that phone would have been dead long before his sister started calling on Saturday.
So if he's not in the water, where is he? And this is what brings us back to that CCTV footage. For more than 20 years, the whole narrative of this case was driven by one single terrifying theory: the stalker.
This was the prevailing theory. It was the one everyone believed, and it was built entirely on what we thought we were seeing in that video.
Walk us through what that old narrative was.
Okay, so you have the man in black at the gate at 3:35 a.m. Trevor leaves the office at 4:03. Then, on that final footage from Haddington Road at 4:14 a.m., you see Trevor walk past. And then, maybe 30 seconds or so later, another dark figure walks past, going the same direction.
And the immediate assumption is, it's the same guy.
It's the same guy.
Yeah.
The police thought it, the family thought it, the public thought it. Everyone was convinced that the man from the office gate had waited followed Trevor through the streets, and was now stalking him down Haddington Road, about to attack him.
It fits perfectly. A predator hunting in the storm.
It does. And it fueled years of speculation. Was this a targeted hit? Was it a random violent abduction? It was terrifying. And that theory became the absolute bedrock of the investigation. The goal was, find the man in black, find Trevor.
But then, very recently, in 2023, everything changed.
This is where modern tech and just sheer persistent police work finally paid off. The Gardaí have been using advanced forensic software to enhance and clean up these old, grainy VHS-era tapes.
And what did they find in that Haddington Road footage?
Well, in late 2023, and this was confirmed publicly by Trevor's brother Mark, the Gardaí made a massive breakthrough. They finally identified the man who was walking behind Trevor on Haddington Road.
So-called follower.
Yes. And here's the bombshell. He was not the man from the gate.
Wow. Okay.
Not only that, they tracked this man down. They interviewed him. And it turns out he wasn't a stalker. He wasn't a criminal. He was just another person walking home, probably because of the taxi strike, completely minding his own business. He had absolutely no connection to Trevor Deely whatsoever.
So the man we all thought was following him wasn't following him at all.
He was just walking behind him. A total coincidence. He's been interviewed, he's been fully cleared, and he's been completely ruled out of the inquiry.
That is, I mean, that's enormous. That just completely pulls the rug out from under the main theory of the case.
It dismantles it. It changes the entire geography of the crime.
Mm.
Because if no one was following Trevor at 4:14 a.m., then whatever happened to him, it happened after he walked out of that camera frame.
And it means the threat could have come from somewhere else entirely.
Or, and this is the tricky part, it circles us right back to the first man.
Right. Because the guy on Haddington Road is innocent, but the guy who waited for half an hour in a storm at the office gate, he's still a complete mystery.
Exactly. He has never been identified. So the focus snaps right back to him.
So we have to reevaluate him completely. Why was he waiting there?
That's the million-dollar question now.
Yeah.
Was he a drug dealer waiting for a drop? Was he just a stranded party goer trying to get some shelter, even though it wasn't really shelter? Was he waiting for someone else entirely? And Trevor just happened to be the person who showed up.
And their interaction looks so brief, so casual. Trevor didn't seem scared.
Which points to the conversation being pretty innocuous. But the fact remains, he waited for a very long time, and he has never, ever come forward. Even with a €100,000 reward on the table, this man has never called the police to say, hey, that was me, I was just waiting for my friend.
And that silence is suspicious.
It makes him the primary person of interest again, or at least the biggest unexplained piece of the puzzle. But we have to be careful not to make the same mistake twice. Just because he was there doesn't automatically mean he was involved. But his presence is the one major anomaly we still can't explain.
Let's talk about another theory that got a lot of attention around 2017, the Crumlin gang theory. This seemed to come out of left field.
It was a very dark, very different direction for the investigation. In 2017, an informant came forward to the Gardaí with a new story. They claimed that Trevor had been murdered by a known violent criminal from the Crumlin area of Dublin.
But what was the supposed motive? Trevor had no links to crime or gangs.
None at all. The theory was that it was a chance encounter that went horribly wrong. A row, as they called it. The suggestion was that maybe Trevor saw something he shouldn't have seen.
Like a drug deal.
A drug deal or prostitution, which was known to be active in that part of Dublin late at night. Or maybe he just bumped into the wrong person, there was an argument, and it escalated tragically.
And this tip was credible enough to spark a major police operation.
It was. It led to a massive search of a 3-acre wooded area in a place called Chapelizod, which is about 5 miles from where Trevor was last seen. The Gardaí were there for 6 weeks. They brought in diggers, forensic archaeologists. It was a huge deal.
And they did find things there, right?
They found a gun and they found a stash of drugs.
But
there was absolutely no forensic link to Trevor Deely. No DNA, no clothes, no human remains. The conclusion was that, yes, this was a stash spot for criminals, but the specific tip about Trevor being buried there just didn't pan out.
that must have been an absolutely agonizing 6 weeks for his family.
It was emotional torture. His brother Mark talked about it being a roller coaster. Every single phone call, you're thinking, this is it, we're finally getting an answer. And then, again, nothing.
So where are we today with all this? It's still officially a missing persons case, but it feels like everyone treats it as a homicide.
I think privately, investigators have long suspected foul play. A 22-year-old man with a good job, a loving family, and plans for the future doesn't just walk away. His bank accounts were never touched, his passport was never used, but without a body or a crime scene, they can't officially upgrade it to a murder inquiry.
And what about the Alaska connection? Was that ever a real possibility?
It was thoroughly investigated and completely ruled out. The Gardaí went to Anchorage, Trevor's sisters went there, they spoke with the girl. There was no jealous ex-boyfriend, no drama. It was just a trip. It's a lovely detail about who Trevor was as a person, but it has no bearing on what happened to him.
It's so frustrating because it feels like we have all these little pieces, but not the one that connects them all. We know what he was wearing, what umbrella he had, what phone he used.
And those items are still out there somewhere. That big blue ACC umbrella, that Nokia 1610. The chances are slim after all this time, but they're physical objects that could still hold a clue.
You know, the thing that strikes me most is the number of almost moments in this story. He was almost home, he almost got a taxi, he almost got through to his friend on the phone.
It's a complete tragedy of margins. Any one of those things going differently could have changed the entire outcome.
And the impact on his family is just, it's unimaginable.
It's a constant, unending pain. His father, Michael, for years worked in an office that looked out over the Grand Canal, the very same water they dredged looking for his son. His sister Michelle had his Christmas present, a shirt that she never got the chance to give him. It's those human details that are just heartbreaking.
I just want to go back to that 2023 update one last time because the role of technology here is so fascinating.
It's such a double-edged sword. On one hand, this new AI-powered enhancement cleared an innocent man, and that's a form of justice. The police are no longer wasting time looking for a phantom follower.
But on the other hand,
it took away the only coherent narrative we had. For 20 years, we thought we knew the how he was followed. Now, we don't know the how anymore. We are right back at square one. Was he pulled into a car? Did he meet someone he knew by chance? Did the man from the gate circle back and catch up to him? The picture is actually less clear now than it was a decade ago.
that's a really unnerving thought, that more information can actually lead to more confusion.
It forces everyone to abandon their old assumptions. We have to look at that empty space again. The few hundred yards between the last CCTV camera on Haddington Road and his front door. The answer is somewhere in that gap.
And that gap is dark and rainy and completely silent.
And that's where that illusion of safety we all have just shatters. We fill our cities with cameras and streetlights, and we think that protects us. But Trevor walked through a whole network of surveillance, and he still managed to slip through the cracks.
It really makes you question the idea that just because we're seen, we're safe.
Being seen is not the same as being saved.
So what happens now? The case is still open, right?
It is still very much an active investigation. The Gardaí put out renewed appeals every year. They are desperate for that one person with one piece of information to finally come forward. Someone out there knows who the man at the gate was. Someone knows something.
And perhaps now that the Haddington Road follower has been cleared, the focus can narrow in on where it really needs to be.
That's the hope. The background noise has finally been filtered out. Now maybe they can finally hear the signal.
Before we close, I just want to leave our listeners with a thought. In these kinds of stories, we're always looking for the monster in the shadows, the stalker. But in this case, the most frightening possibility might be that there was no monster, just the terrifying randomness of one wrong moment, a chance encounter in a storm that completely erases a life.
It's a very sobering thought. Trevor Deely went to work, he celebrated with his friends, and he started to walk home. He did everything a normal person does, and he's still gone.
If you have any information, no matter how insignificant you think it might be about the disappearance of Trevor Deely, please contact the Gardaí. After all this time, even the smallest thread could be the one that unravels this whole mystery.
Absolutely.
That's all we have for this examination of the Trevor Deely case. It's a story of rain, of lost time, and of the enduring, heartbreaking pain of not knowing. Join us next time. Picture this. A fitness instructor arrives early to teach a class, but instead, a church security camera captures a figure in tactical gear wandering the halls. Next time, we examine the chilling case of Missy Devers.